Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me because we're going to unpack the philosophy of one of the most legendary leaders, not just in sports history, but honestly in the history of organizational leadership altogether. We're going to look at the architectural blueprint of success built by the one and only Coach John Wooden. Get ready because we're about to challenge some of your most fundamental assumptions about winning and leadership.
Okay, let's dive into this incredible paradox. Coach John Wooden holds records that are, frankly, almost unfathomable today. We're talking 10 national championships, including 7 in a row. Add to that 88 consecutive victories, 38 straight tournament playoff wins, and 4 perfect seasons. Now, you'd probably assume a coach with that kind of resume was this ruthless, win-at-all-costs dictator who was just totally obsessed with the scoreboard, right? Well, here's the wild truth. In all his years of coaching, he rarely, if ever, even uttered the word win. No way, right? He didn't talk about beating opponents, and he never told his team they needed to be number one. So how on earth did he achieve such absolute dominance?
To figure that out, here is our agenda. We're going to build this framework tier by tier. First, we'll look at the secret of true success. Second, building a solid foundation. Third, the second tier. And finally, we'll explore the heart of the pyramid. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the secret of true success, where we completely redefine the ultimate metric. You know, long before John Wooden was setting records at UCLA, his whole philosophy was deeply shaped by some advice from his dad back on their Indiana farm. His father told him, don't worry about whether you're better than somebody else, but never cease trying to be the best you can become. You have control over that, the other you don't. That advice right there, that creates a massive mental shift. Just look at how society typically defines success. It's all about winning the race, outscoring the opponent, being crowned number one. It's a completely anxiety-inducing obsession that relies on external factors you can't even control. Contrast that with Wooden's definition, giving total effort, maximizing your individual potential, and focusing purely on the journey. It is so liberating. You're taking all that energy usually wasted on stressing over the competition and funneling it entirely into your own preparation. To really get a feel for this, take a look at his actual typed notes from 1934. At the time, he was a young high school English teacher and coach, and he felt he needed a formal, fair grading system for his players. So he literally typed this out. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable. For him, it was never about the scoreboard. It was entirely about peace of mind.
And if you want to know how deeply he actually believed this, let's talk about the UCLA Bruins 1959-1960 season. This team was, well, severely lacking in experience and top-tier talent. Plus, due to sanctions on the broader athletic program, they couldn't even play in the postseason. They literally had to win their final game just to scrape by with a meager 14-12 record. Fans were grumbling, critics were calling the program a total failure. But Coach Wooden, he actually considered this team a massive success. Why? Because they came as close to reaching 100% of their potential as any of his future undefeated championship teams ever did. They maximized exactly what they had. Now, only they knew they were a success, but to Wooden, that was literally all that mattered.
So if that kind of success is the destination, how do you actually get there? That brings us to Section 2, building a solid foundation and the cornerstones of the pyramid.
Wooden realized he needed a tangible map for his students. He was inspired by the Great Pyramid of Giza, a structure literally built to withstand time itself because it relies entirely on a massive, perfectly constructed foundation. He identified 15 fundamental values required to reach the peak, and he placed 5 of them right at the base: industriousness, friendship, loyalty, cooperation, and enthusiasm. Just like the Great Pyramid, if these bottom blocks aren't rock solid, whatever you try to build on top of them is going to eventually crumble under pressure.
Let's start with the first massive cornerstone, industriousness. Growing up on that farm with a mule as the primary technology, Wooden learned real quick that nothing gets done if you just stay in bed. But notice, he doesn't just say hard work. Simply punching a clock, going through the motions, and just enduring the boredom, that is not real work. Industriousness means being fully engaged, totally focused, and completely absorbed in the task. There are no magic tricks. There are absolutely no shortcuts. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the twin cornerstone to industriousness, which is enthusiasm. As you can see from Wooden's raw notes, your heart absolutely has to be in your work. Industriousness, all by itself, that can easily become drudgery, and drudgery does not produce champions.
Enthusiasm acts as the spark. It transforms hard work from this exhausting chore into a powerful driving engine. Think about it. As a leader, if you lack true enthusiasm for the challenge ahead, you can't possibly expect your team to be fired up about it.
Slotted right between those twin cornerstones of work and joy, Wooden places friendship, loyalty, and cooperation. These are your social bindings. Friendship here doesn't mean just being buddies or playing favorites. It's about mutual respect and camaraderie. Loyalty? Well, that's a two-way street. You've got to give it to get it. And cooperation means a great leader cares far more about what is right than who is right. You have to be willing to listen, share ideas, and totally ditch your ego.
Moving up the structure, we hit section 3, the second tier, engaging the mind. If the foundation was all about the heart and the spirit, this second level is rigorously focused on controlling the mind. First up on this tier is self-control, which Wooden saw as the absolute anchor of consistency. In his typed instructions, he heavily emphasizes keeping emotions under complete control. And here's a fascinating detail on how he actually taught this. Wooden famously banned his players from using profanity during practice. Now, it wasn't just about being polite. He believed that if a player couldn't control his language when he got frustrated in a scrimmage, he'd probably lose control and commit a careless foul during the intense heat of a real championship game. Discipline in the little things creates discipline in the big things.
Right next to self-control is alertness. This means observing weak spots in the opposition and in your own team, and being super quick to make corrections. It is the ultimate heads-up habit. Look, if you are a leader who is asleep at the wheel, you're going to crash. Alertness means you are constantly monitoring the landscape, so you can spot industry changes, competitive threats, and even internal weaknesses way before anyone else is even looking in that direction.
Which leads us to a truly surprising quote from Wooden's own college coach at Purdue, Ward Piggy Lambert. The team that makes the most mistakes usually wins. Wait, what? I know, it sounds crazy, but this quote introduces the block of initiative. What Lambert and Wooden meant is that bold action and smart mistakes of commission are vastly superior to timid mistakes of omission. Because if you're terrified of making a mistake, you become hesitant. You become indecisive. A great leader has to have the courage to act. As Wooden liked to say, be quick, but don't hurry. Closing out this second tier is intentness. This is your sheer fortitude. It's the unremitting determination to stay the course when things get unimaginably hard. Intentness is what keeps you in the game when everyone around you is telling you the game is over. Get this, it took John Wooden 28 years of coaching before he won his first national championship. 28 years. That is the very definition of intentness, staying deeply committed to your process completely regardless of the immediate timeline.
And now, we arrive at the very center of our structure. Section 4, the heart of the pyramid, the engine of execution.
This engine features a very specific three-part formula that Wooden adopted directly from his college coach's revolutionary fast-paced style of play: condition, fundamentals, and unity. Coach Lambert wanted his teams to run at an absolute furious pace, get the ball, run, shoot, repeat. But to execute that relentless pace, you needed flawless physical condition, an absolute mastery of the basic fundamentals, and a total unity of team purpose. Wooden took those three basketball elements and adapted them into universal principles for life and leadership, placing them right dead center in his pyramid. But here is where Wooden added his own profound spin. He taught his teams that elite physical conditioning is completely impossible without moral and mental conditioning. All that hard work you do on the court, it could be completely destroyed in minutes by poor, undisciplined choices made off the court. He demanded moderation and balance. He used to tell his players, there's a choice you have to make in everything you do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice you make makes you. To bring the whole shebang together, let's look at perhaps the most powerful artifact of all. It's this simple, handwritten note from Coach Wooden, quoting Cervantes, "The road is better than the inn." It perfectly encapsulates everything we've built today. The inn, that's the championship trophy, the quarterly earnings report, the external validation. But the road is your industriousness, your enthusiasm, your self-control, and your intentness. The real joy and the absolute truest definition of success is found entirely in the striving, not just the arriving. So I'll leave you with this question to reflect on. Are you obsessing over reaching the inn, or are you giving 100% of your potential to the road?